let's talk for just a minute about something you even do a workshop on, and that's
Mhm.
this whole idea of field trips.
Mm.
Tell me what captivated your interest about field trips and why you think they're important.
I have just always been a field trip person. I love to know how things work. If my husband will tell you, if you will give me a back scene tour of the kitchen at a restaurant, I will be the first one in line. I just like to see how anything and everything works. We had a guy working on the roof the other day, and he was showing me this event, and I was asking him all these questions. He's like, "You're really interested in this." I'm like, "I just want to know how it works." And so, I wanted to instill that love of learning and being curiosity to my boys, and so we just field trips have just become not really part of our homeschool, I wouldn't say, just part of our life. And just learning and just taking that opportunity. And I liken it to the movie, The Night of Museum. You know, he's the night officer or night watchman at the New York Natural History Museum. And then all the displays and everything come to life. And you've got the T-Rex running through, you've got Teddy Roosevelt on a horse, and you can just really see the history and you can just understand it. And I just kinda liken that when we go out on field trips and see things in the world, it just makes the world and what the my boys are learning, and even just not only learning academically, just learning how to behave in the world, it just comes aligned and it allows the pieces to just be put in place.
Well, I think it's so much value. I always say I've got these little stickers. I had it in front of me, but that say when you homeschool, the world is your classroom.
Absolutely.
And we really want our children to understand the world around them. I think a lot of people think homeschool kids have their head in the sand, but actually they're out and about with people different ages and seeing a lot of things that you could never see within the four walls of a classroom. I can remember talking to one college admissions advisor, personnel at a college. And he said, Zan, we really expected homeschool kids to be the kids with their head in the sand when they came to college. And yet they're the kids who know how to use a syllabus, they're independent learners. And he said, but oh my word, how do they end up being leaders? We just thought they would be tied to their mom's apron strings, but they really have a sense of confidence about them and they want to be leaders on campus and they understand the world a lot. And I just thought, well, isn't that interesting? Coming from this man, what he expected homeschoolers to be and what he's seeing that homeschool students actually are.
Well, and I think that's too because when you're at a school, you're really mainly interacting with your peers, which is fantastic and definitely the way it should be. You're not you have limited interaction with the teacher more than like the teacher's more talking at you and not a whole lot of conversation. But in homeschool, when you're out and about, whether it's running errands during the day if you need to, or just the way that our structure, our kids get to interact with so many different just ages and people and in different positions than they would if they were just at a traditional school for 8 hours a day.
That's right. It really does make a difference. And one thing I want to ask you how you plan how you plan the particular field trips and how you decide which ones to take.
Oh, what a great question. Um, so the first thing I do each year, and I tell this in my workshop, I'm very honest, August Elizabeth, she is a planner. The homeschool is going to be amazing. She's got all these great things. May Elizabeth, a little tired, a little worn out, a little more frantic of getting things done. So I really try to make sure that August Elizabeth is the one who looks at all this and maybe less the May Elizabeth. But I sit down with our teacher editions. Again, I use BJU Press Homeschool, and they have these fantastic teacher editions, and it lays out all the lesson plans. And if I'm using a video course for my kids that year, I pull out again the teacher editions as well as just our lesson guide that goes through that the teacher is, and I kind of see what concepts are being covered and what topics. And then I kind of line those up with what we have around here in Dallas Fort Worth. We have such a wealth of places to visit. And I just kind of just try to get an overview and say, oh, we might want to go here, or we might want to do this. And that's one way I do. The thing that I have learned throughout the years is to be a little bit more flexible than just straight planning. So I really look at just things that are going on around us. I follow like the local libraries, the local towns that are around, and I see what seasonal things are because there for a while it was always like, oh, that looked like fun. Oh, that was last weekend. Um, so I try to look a little bit more ahead on the calendars and to kind of plan out what we will do. So having that flexibility and just realizing that not everything has to be a perfectly planned field trip um, has allowed us to have like just a lot of unexpected, great little memories and learning experiences.